Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the REC podcast, brought to you by REC Comics and Collectibles. I'm your host, Roman Chavez, and with me, as always,
Eric Icarus.
Eric.
Yeah.
Robots. Reboots.
The robots?
Yeah, robots are coming, guys. I'm terrified of it.
Rebooted robots?
Rebooted robots, yeah.
God.
Yeah, they were turned off, and then they were restarted. Guys, we have digressed 25 seconds in again.
Yeah, that's what we're known for,
that is the name
It's
of
a
the
record.
game. That is the name of the game. I want to talk about comic book reboots today.
Yeah.
For those of you that are the uninitiated, the comic book industry, they often try to do these cash grabs where they'll be doing a comic book that is running for several hundred issues, and then they'll be like, well, we want to get new readers on, so we're going to put out a new #1. It's the same book, same series, same characters, but we're going to renumber the series. And as a collector, it is maddening. There are so many versions of Uncanny X-Men. Like, I don't know what volume we're on, but if we're not on, like, volume 10, I would be quite shocked. Like, we're getting close. And by volumes, I mean, like, okay, when X-Men came out in 1963, it went for, 300 issues or whatever, and then they restarted it at #1 again. And then that went on for like another 100 issues, and then they restarted it at #1 again. Like, the past is still the past, the characters are still the characters, but they do this to try to get new readers on board.
Okay, so
like, this is the starting point.
It doesn't restart continuity, or does it restart continuity?
Sometimes it does.
Okay.
There are examples of that I think we'll get to.
Okay. I always thought they did that because they wrote themselves into a corner, and they're like, hey, we need to start over, man.
It does feel that way, and you'll start to feel it in comics, too.
Really?
Yeah, you'll start to feel it where it's just like, man, like every 6 issues, it's just like this crazy event that's happening. Like, they're not trying to spin a story, they're just trying to do something crazy and blow up Manhattan and blow up Xavier School. The school, like, I would not send, if I were a mutant, I would not go to Xavier School, because that school is blown up so many times. And that's often kind of the nexus, the crux of, like, we gotta start over. So we're going to do Wolverine and the X-Men at #1. But, it's just like, but the events happened in Uncanny. And it's maddening.
I'm about to say, it sounds like a headache. Like, if you had OCD, you couldn't be a comic book collector, maybe?
No, I mean, it would drive you nuts. Like, I know people who stopped collecting comics because, they just restarted it again. Because they feel like they have so many just, like, 20, 30 issue miniseries of Uncanny X-Men.
So if they were to go, they call it legacy numbering?
They do call it legacy numbering,
but I don't know,
which is maddening too. So maybe they're doing another volume of a book, and then, it'll be on issue 14, and they'll be like, you know what? We're going to go back to old numbering, so it goes from issue 14 to issue 600 and something, because those previous 14 issues then matter in the main continuity, but as far as your numbering goes, your numbers are going to take a jump. It's crazy.
Okay, so is X-Men, like, probably the one that's most guilty of it?
It's the most egregious. Marvel does it more than DC.
Right.
But DC is not blameless in this.
For sure. Because, again, I'm a very, very casual reader of comic books.
Yeah.
I'm not too into it.
Basically, if me or your dad tells you to read something, you'll read it.
Boom. There you go.
Yeah.
And if it's Daredevil.
And if it's Daredevil. Yeah.
Except this new Daredevil. I heard it's awful. But, okay, so let's say, what is the new 52, man? I know this happened a few years ago, right?
This is a few years ago now.
Now, does this qualify as a reboot?
Yes, and it was meant to be a big reboot.
Okay.
Because they were changing the origins of the characters.
Okay.
Like, for example, like, they rebooted everything a few years back, and they called it the New 52.
Okay.
And when they did that, like, Batman had only been Batman for like 6 years.
Okay.
So he was still kind of green around the gills. Like, there's a point where Batman reveals himself to the Justice League early on, and he says, I'm Bruce Wayne of Gotham. And Hal Jordan says, who's Bruce Wayne? So they were really trying to, like, okay, guys, we want to bring in some new fans, so we're going to be retelling origins. They introduced some new characters, kind of changed the way we got to some places.
Okay.
Like, when the New 52 happened, Barbara Gordon had been shot by the Joker, but then had been healed.
So she wasn't Oracle, ever.
They're making it seem like she was not Oracle,
Oh,
which is
a bummer,
because
because Oracle is such a cool character.
Yes, it was somebody that, and I think that people who were paraplegics could look up to. It's like, okay, I can't be a hero in the streets, but I can be behind the scenes.
It's be an asset no matter what your defaults are.
Yes,
and I've met people with those disabilities say that they love that Oracle character, bro.
Yeah,
and then to take it away like that,
it wasn't great. It wasn't great.
Okay,
but it was kind of cool to see Barbara behind the cowl again. But then it's like, okay, so we're having this reboot, but clearly the Killing Joke happened.
Right. Okay.
You know,
for
sure. So it wasn't a full on reboot, but it was just like. But again, Batman had only been Batman for like 6 years, so it was clunky. And so many of the titles that were good before they did the New 52 then were not as good.
Okay, so like your Green Lanterns or your Superman.
Like they left being a very, very good book. And the Green Lantern book was okay, but it didn't focus on Hal Jordan, which was the bright spot, is that it focused on Sinestro.
Okay,
but
that's cool.
But the War of Light, Parallax, like all of that had happened. So it was just bizarre.
It's confusing me.
Yeah, it's like, oh, in this 6 years, everything happened to Batman still.
I had a rough 6 years.
Yeah, a rough 6 years, you know? So it was just very strange. But there was some good that came out of it, but there was some bad that came out of it. Whereas before the 52, Batman was my least favorite Bat title.
Okay.
Batgirl was excellent, and Stephanie Brown was Batgirl, and kind of the person in her ear was Barbara Gordon.
See?
So it was like cool. It was really interesting. It felt a lot like Buffy.
Okay, there you go.
Know, it was so good. It was so funny.
Did Joss write this?
He did not, and it would have been awesome if he did. It might have been Peter Tomasi. I can't remember. I don't have it on me right now, but it was a fantastic series.
Okay.
And then they just kind of undid all of that very cool Stephanie Brown as Batgirl stuff. Huh. And it really bummed me out because they were doing interesting stuff with that character.
Right.
And then they did the New 52 for like 5 years.
Okay.
And then DC does Rebirth. And they try to really link it to Dr. Manhattan.
Oh, that's right. That's why we get the Watchmen in the universe.
A bit. Yes, a bit. And yeah, it's just like, I don't know. It was just... I'm okay with Batman Rebirth. Again, Batman is still a good book. Okay, it's the best book probably in the Rebirth world. Okay, but it's just forced garbage too. It's just like why are you
shoehorning the Watchmen into this?
Yes.
Or why are you trying to retell a story from a slightly different angle?
Yes,
like if you're gonna retell something, go all out. Not like okay, we're gonna look at it slightly to the left.
Yeah, like in the New 52, they had Superman not be with Lois Lane.
Okay, that's kind of cool. We can get some cool story from that.
It was, because who did we get him with? Wonder Woman.
Perfect.
Very interesting. It was cool to actually see that play out.
Yes.
Because Superman and Lois had been such an item since the 40s.
That's all I've ever remembered.
That you couldn't explore things with Superman as a relatable character. The most unrelatable character in all of comics for the most part.
Yeah.
Without having him kind of sled it up a little bit.
For sure.
So we kind of had him be he was actually kind of a jerk too, which I didn't like. He was not your beacon of hope. He was kind of like a douche some of the time. And
wait, was he still raised by Mom and Pa Kent?
He was still raised by Mom and Pa Kent.
So why did he all of a sudden have this character defect where he's not
the Boy Scout?
Yeah.
And they kept him from being the Boy Scout for a little bit, and then they easily reverted back to it pretty quickly.
See, I would be okay with this had they not had him raised by his mom and pop. Like if let's say he just got adopted, like say he was found by a rich family, so he's got a sense of entitlement to him. Then I can reconcile him being a d-bag.
Yeah.
So so that sounds interesting. The Wonder Woman stuff sounds like it would have worked.
Yeah, it was really cool. They even gave Superman and Wonder Woman their own comic, like a
that's
shared
cool.
comic.
I can dig it, man.
And it was very interesting. It was cool to kind of see him cut loose.
Yeah.
You know, and but then they end up going back to what he was before.
Okay.
You know, just like okay, we can't keep Superman extreme or anything, so we got to do something else. Part of the reason that we bring some of this up is because. X-Men is arguably more of a flagship comic book than the Avengers are.
Oh, yeah.
Really, the movies have made the Avengers more popular than the comics ever did.
You go 12 years ago, X-Men is all people knew.
Yeah.
Avengers, who's that?
Yeah, X-Men probably has the longest stretches of being good.
Right.
And the longest stretches of being bad.
Wow.
And we've got this story coming out right now, written by Jonathan Hickman, known as Powers of X and House of X.
Okay.
And we literally just came off of this very strange story, a new Uncanny Team. There was 4 or 5. There's always a bunch of X titles.
Oh, yeah. That's never changed.
Yeah, X-Men Blue, Gold, Red, Black, like all of these things. And then
X-Men Skittles.
Yeah, right. And then you can have Excalibur and X-Force and X-Factor. You can have all of these different X titles at any given moment. And it's fun. While it's fun to see people play in those sandboxes,
sure.
You also have so many different cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And everybody's trying to make a pie, but it just, some half of the pie or part of the pie is Middle Eastern, part of the pie is candy, it's just it doesn't make for something good to eat. And now
so is it a problem with continuity too?
It's such a problem with continuity. Oh my gosh. And then you have characters on teams that maybe
are they double dipping?
Double dipping. It's like, Wolverine's on every team and an Avenger. He's on every X title, X-Force, and he's also an Avenger.
And he's got a solo book.
And he's got a solo book. And his kids are running around all crazy. It's just it's hard to do. It's hard to handle.
All right. So is this a soft reboot, or is this full on okay, none of this happened?
This is a soft reboot, and it's it seems like it's going to be dealing with X-Men is notorious and excellent at multiple timelines, and I've only read part. We're just at the beginning of this from Jonathan Hickman's run, but it seems like we're going to explore more of the timelines and maybe try to make them a bit more coherent.
Right, because you're saying Moira McTaggart's in this book, right?
Moira McTaggart seems like she's going to be a big part of the book, and that they've spoilers. I'm gonna have spoilers for Powers of X #1. 3, 2, 1. They're kind of making Moira McTaggart that she's been a mutant this whole time. In normal X-Men continuity, Moira and Charles. Moira makes 2 of the most powerful mutants out there: Proteus, and Legion. Proteus. I don't remember if Xavier is the father. It's kind of alluded to that he is. But then Eric Haller is Legion, who is one of the most powerful mutants on the planet. Yeah. A big Eric Icarus character, where it's this character that has multiple personalities, but each one has its own mutant power.
Which is cool. They had a show, right, for a minute?
Yeah, it's still going on. I think it's almost done. First season was okay. I heard second season was good. I just...
Again, superhero fatigue. Check out the episode.
So Jonathan Hickman's writing the story. I'm very excited about it. X-Men is my favorite thing in comics.
Always been.
That's really...
Roman's been diehard in the flesh X-Men fan since I've known him.
Since 92.
Yep.
Since I was a little boy.
Yes.
And I'm excited about this. But it just...
Is it because of Hickman? Is it because Hickman is such an amazing writer, he can maybe pull off such an odd concept of Moira having a mutant power that she relives timelines.
Yes. And, there's a few people out there that I always give a pass on. I will always read something they do. Jonathan Hickman has kind of worked his way into that list.
Sure.
But, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Jeff Johns is everything he writes, I will read.
Okay.
And he's only let me down once.
Yeah, what was that?
I'm trying to think of what book it was. I've even forgotten the book
because he's had so many hits.
So many hits. The guy is so good. Jeff Loeb used to be in there because of Hush was so good, and then his Superman Batman run was so good, but then he just fell apart. We've talked about it at great lengths here. Joss Whedon. I'll read everything that Joss does. He's let me down a couple times. More than Johns. More than Jeff Johns has. Okay. Brian Michael Bendis. Bendis is the king of starting a story. He cannot finish one to save his life. At least for me. It's just a matter of taste. But I know a lot of people who think that Bendis writes a killer 5 issues, but when he writes that 6 issue, you're like, we dropped it. Yeah. Although his run on Spider-Man is
pretty bomb.
Is the best run on Spider-Man in my opinion. All of his Miles Morales stuff, all of those things. are fantastic. But Jonathan Hickman, he wrote a story Eric really likes, Infinity.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
A few years ago, introduced the Ebony Maw.
We get the Black Order in this, correct?
Basically the Black Order or one of his babies.
Yeah.
He wrote a run on New Avengers that was fantastic. His run on Fantastic Four
Oh, that's right.
so good. The Council of Reeds, the Galactus being a herald for Franklin Richards, just so much good stuff. And he's taken on this task of rejuvenating X-Men.
And that's great because we know that Marvel in the past has dropped the ball on reboots.
Oh,
can we talk about Heroes Reborn?
Oh my gosh! How can we talk about reboots and not talk about Heroes Reborn, especially given the creative minds behind it? They let our boy Jim and Chris Claremont do X-Men, which was the only.
Yep.
Well, actually, that wasn't Heroes Reborn. That was after. Chris Claremont and Jim Lee did X-Men, and then Jim and all those guys leave to form
That's
Image.
Right. Image, yeah.
And then when Rob and Jim come back to Marvel, they get Heroes Reborn.
That's right.
Jim does Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Which I have Fantastic Four #1 by Jim Lee, written, drawn, autographed.
Nice, man.
And then Jeff gets Avengers. He took the Avengers title.
And then Rob gets Captain America for some reason.
Yeah, he gets Avengers and Captain America.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Yeah, and it's bad. It's bad. It's not drawn well. It's my least favorite Rob Liefeld art. Oh, now, say again.
Again.
Great length. Say what you want about him. There are pieces of Rob Liefeld art that I really enjoy.
For sure.
But
we're not saying he doesn't have talent. The man's gifted, and again, yeah, he's got faults, but again, like you said, there are bright spots.
Yeah, but his Captain America, I mean, if you're thinking of the image I am, with his big chest, oh, it's the worst. It's one of the worst pictures I've ever seen.
Because Heroes Reborn was Marvel's attempt to legit restart the Marvel universe.
Yeah, we're gonna start it all over.
And it was because from what I remember, it was Onslaught, which was an amalgamation of Professor X and Magneto's consciousness coming together.
Yes.
And
made a very powerful
being named Onslaught. Initially, I think his name was Holocaust, but they had to change it.
No, Holocaust was the son of Apocalypse.
Okay.
And then they ended up changing him to oh God, what is his name? The
Holocaust denier?
Yeah, oh, Jesus. Yeah, the internet's screaming at us right now. They ended up making him Genocide. Okay. That's what they changed his name to because apparently that's better.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
sure.
It was definitely a strange thing to do, given especially the dynamic of who was in charge at Marvel and all of that. I don't know. It's very senseless.
There you go.
To have a Holocaust character.
But then, so this book culminates with the Avengers, X-Men, Fantastic Four going up against Onslaught, correct?
Onslaught, and then what happens?
Franklin Richards
he creates a pocket universe to keep everybody kind of safe, and in this pocket universe,
Heroes Reborn is given to us.
Yes, and it is,
and it's all of your classic amazing characters except for X-Men, I believe.
Yeah, X-Men weren't a part of the.
Yeah, they were still in the main universe. We get Iron Man, Cap. All the Avengers.
I like the redesign on Iron Man. Remember he had those weird tubes coming out of the top? It looks cool. It doesn't work, but it looks cool.
Yeah, and I vaguely remember, because this was 95 or 6, and I read it, and being even as a child, knowing this was awful.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, at least Jim Lee's drawing Fantastic Four.
Yeah, look at that, Google that artwork, and it's amazing.
It's fantastic.
But then go ahead and Google Captain America, Heroes Report.
Yeah.
And then you put them side by side.
His Thor was weird.
It's pretty whack.
The very, very 80s metal look to
totally.
him. Yeah.
It's right off of a Man o' War cover.
Yeah.
It's pretty, But it's funny because the backlash on this was pretty intense.
Oh, it's huge. It was huge.
Right.
And not only just the backlash for rebooting the Marvel Universe, but Jim and Rob leaving Image to come back to their slave masters in Marvel Comics. There was a lot of people old artists who really were man, these guys they were the dream. They did what none of us had the balls to do, was leave Marvel Comics and start our own thing. And then they just came back.
So they were looked at kind of in a weird way, like Uncle Tom's.
Very much so. Like Big Judas kind of thing.
Okay.
And it's funny because this Heroes Reborn thing, it wouldn't last very long. And
it didn't last a year, correct? Or maybe over a year. Yeah, slightly over a year.
So little. And then Jim's never been back to Marvel since.
Really?
Yeah.
So that was Jim's straight up exodus from Marvel. Boom.
As far as I remember, I don't think he ever came back from Marvel after that.
Man.
And then now he's the co-publisher for DC. We'll probably never see Jim Lee draw professionally for Marvel again.
Ever, huh?
Which is just
too. Was it? Do you know maybe something? I know you have some ties. Do you know the reason behind that? Gossip, maybe why he's just never come back.
I think it's just that Marvel's not going to make him co-publisher.
Of course not.
Marvel's not gonna give him all the stuff that he got at DC.
You're right.
Because DC bought Wildstorm.
That's right.
So Wildstorm got absorbed into DC Comics. Like we see Grifter from time to time.
Sure, and Grifter's awesome.
Yeah, Grifter's arguably the best Jim Lee creation outside of the mainstream. And it just seemed like that they were just slave drivers, and he could just never. He got all this respect as being an artist, but he could never get the respect of he could do other things.
Sure.
The writing on his comics weren't that good.
You're right.
They weren't as strong.
Yeah.
And then now he's synonymous with just Batman for the most part.
Yeah.
Now.
It's funny you say that because for me he's still X-Men.
He's still X-Men.
He's still X-Men to me.
If you told me Jim Lee was going to draw X-Men next, I'd be the first person.
I know it.
First person.
You'd buy all the books.
I'd buy them all.
You would
get another 8 million copies sold out of me. If Jim came back to X-Men, it would shake the entire fabric of comic book universe.
It would be even crazier if it was, and I know you would just probably your head would explode. It would be Jim doing art and Joss doing the story.
Oh,
your head would explode.
It would be insane. I would love it so much.
But it's just man.
If you could get Jim and Todd McFarlane to go back to Marvel, because even Todd hasn't even. Oh, Todd hate. Well, I don't know if he hates, but he ain't come back from Marvel.
He hasn't been back since since he left.
I don't think he's been back since he left. There may be some odds and outs, some ins and outs, but even now, when there's been anniversary books of Venom related stuff, Black Suit Spider-Man related stuff, people have asked Todd, why don't you come and write something or draw something? Yeah. He's like, man, they're the competition, because he's the president of Image Comics.
Gotcha. Okay.
And he's like, they're the competition. He's like, why would I help them sell more comics?
It sounds like to me there's some bad taste left in everybody's mouth.
There's a ton of bad, except for Rob. Rob will go everywhere. Rob will do Rob is probably the most. He's probably the most successful freelance artist in comics.
Sounds like it.
He does DC, he does Marvel. He's publicly just crapped on DC. He was doing Deathstroke, Hawk and Dove during the New 52, Hawkman, and he left all of those books at issue 4. He didn't even finish a story.
Well, that's what he did to Heroes Reborn.
That's what he did to Heroes Reborn.
He wrote 6 issues of Cap, and then boom. Yeah. Because I guess everyone was like, this sucks. And he's like, oh yeah, this sucks. Well, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And then Jim stepped in and
finished it. And it's funny because Rob always comes back to Marvel, but Rob just does what he wants.
Oh, fair enough. I can respect that.
Yeah, and he does. And even after he left, he's like, and he was straight up, we had creative differences. Yeah. And when it was for DC, and people were like, oh, you this, yeah. He's like, look, I don't need to work for DC.
I don't. He doesn't have to do anything. He's taken care of, man. He's fine.
Yeah, he's a made man in comics, and then people still want it. And I think he does have some really cool covers. Yes, his proportions are different.
Yes.
But I think Rob has.
Art's all about perspective, man. Yes. And that's how he sees the world.
Yes.
So
I don't know if he's got a head injury.
Sure, or maybe one eye is just not seeing something, and it's fine, and whatever.
But I don't know. I don't have a problem with God. I don't think he's as good as he thinks he is. But I've said it countless times. I love his passion.
Sure.
The guy has passion.
His enthusiasm, just watching him on videos and stuff. Wow, this guy's.
He's so excited. He's so excited about stuff.
Yeah.
I just watched him open he opened his very first Build-A-Bear. I think a fan sent it to him.
No, it's awesome.
It was a Deadpool Build-A-Bear.
Oh, that's cute.
And it was adorable.
Yeah.
And it was adorable watching him be so excited about it. And that's, say what you want, style, personality. He has a genuine love for comics.
Sure does.
He's a 50-year-old man, or almost 50, whatever, and his love for comics doesn't seem to have wavered.
No, that's correct.
Doesn't seem to have wavered. And he's given us a lot of great characters.
Sure has.
A lot of great characters.
Some bad ones, too.
And some bad ones.
Check out the episode.
Yeah.
We talk about it.
So in this world of reboots, it goes hand in hand. I feel
like DC has managed to pull it off a little better than the Marvel. If we're speaking strictly of the big two.
Yeah.
I feel like Marvel has definitely dropped the ball. I feel like you've said that. You say Marvel has amazing concepts, but they can't deliver.
Yeah.
And DC is just all around just manages to be...
DC will be very consistent, and
even though the reboots, like you said, wasn't great.
No.
Serviceable.
Yes.
One good book. Yes. Marvel, no good books.
it gets tough, man. I'm excited for Powers of X.
Yes.
And
that's what started this conversation. We talking about this, and Roman, you really seem legit like you're stoked for this.
I'm very stoked for it. Anytime when X-Men is good, the rest of the industry is doing well too.
But you did mention in a few episodes ago, like when X-Men is good, you get a pit in your stomach because you know the next wave's gonna suck.
Yeah, like you ride it. It's like the stock market more than anything else. It's just like it's like that gambler's high too. You know, it's like, oh, I'm on a hot streak. But in the back of your head, you're feeling that doubt. It's like, okay, hot streaks end. They end. And X-Men is the most egregious. When it's good, it's the best book out there.
Yeah.
And come at me if you say different. But when it's bad, it's the worst book out there. Because you have ensemble and you're just ruining all of these characters at once.
Right.
You know, you can only kill Xavier so many times. You can only...
Well, he's dead now.
He's back.
Is he back? Okay, see?
He's in a younger body. It might be a dupe. Or actually, I think he's in Phantom X's body. Phantom X stayed behind. Oh, yeah, that's what it is. Phantom X stayed behind in the Shadow Realm and is, like, battling the Shadow King. And he allowed Xavier to, like, get out.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
You tell me Charles Xavier's like, cool, I'm just going to leave you here to fight my mortal
see
enemy.
ya, man.
Yeah. Yeah, the guy, like, like, Xavier and Magneto aren't mortal enemies. They're friends.
They're friends, yeah.
But, like, his actual mortal enemy
is the Shadow King.
Man. They fight all the time. They do not see eye to eye on anything.
No. Well, one's just straight up evil.
Amal Farouk. just throw that out there. When we were kids, do you remember that when we were kids?
I do.
And we would, like, say, who is this guy's, what's his real name?
Right.
We would do that. And dude, Amal Farouk and Insabad Noor for Apocalypse, they just stay in my head.
For sure.
Yeah, like I have a hard time remembering my kids' birthdays, but the Shadow King, Amal Farouk, is in my head, which might not be the best thing.
I think it's great, man. Oh
and on that note, I believe that's our show, guys. Yeah. Kind of a comic book tirade, but man.
No, it's about these reboots. I want to know if there are any out there that worked. I don't know any, man.
New 52 Batman worked.
Okay.
New 52 because we get the Court of Owls. All of that stuff was very, very cool.
Okay, cool, man.
Very cool.
Okay.
And in this Rebirth line, Batman is still a pretty solid book. We're supposed to be getting 3 Jokers at any flipping day now.
Okay.
I'm excited to hear that storyline, but yeah, it's
man.
It's always jarring, and that's kind of the side effect of it is that it's always like, oh gosh, here it comes,
right?
Another Batman #1, and then what's even worse too is that you might have Batman, and then you've got All-Star Batman, and then you've got Detective Comics, and then you've got Batman and the Outsiders, and then you've got Batman and Justice League Dark. Like it's just so much.
Those all go to #1.
And then they all go to #1. You know? And it's just like, oh my gosh, I guess I'll put this behind Justice League Dark #7. That was supposed to be Justice League Dark instead of Justice League Dark #1. Like, it's just so ridiculous.
Oh, it's giving me a headache.
It's tough. It's tough, and you gotta want it, boys and girls. You have got to want it. I believe that's what I've learned on today's show.
That's what I learned.
That you gotta want it.
You gotta want to go through this, man.
Yeah, it's
yikes.
We are gluttons for punishment. Those of us in the comic book community.
I just get to sit back and watch, and it's awesome.
I've got guys who come into the comic book store and they're like, I want to buy every #1 that comes out.
Really?
And I had a customer very recently who was like, how many X-Men #1s am I going to get? And it's like, they just started over, man. They just do it all the time. Well, boys and girls, that has been our show. If you like what we're doing, please hit the subscribe button. Give us a like. Leave us a comment. Give us a topic to talk about. If there's something you're interested in and you want to say, hey, what's Eric's take on that? Let's figure that out.
Sure.
Give us a message on Instagram at REC Comics.
Buy some stuff.
Yeah, let us know what's going on there. Again, if you want us to talk about something interesting, or hey, you guys suck talking about Heroes Reborn. I loved Heroes Reborn.
Yeah, if there's something that worked for you, let me know why it worked for you.
Yeah.
I want to know, legit.
We want to make the show interesting for you guys. We appreciate you rolling with us.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in. I have been your host, Roman Chavez.
Still Eric Icarus.
And we will catch you guys next time.